What's going on, guys? This is Miasin and welcome to my Gishki combo video. So I'll be showing you guys 5 combos on how to hand loop your opponent with this deck utilizing the new support. So we have a brand new tour guide. This card is actually cracked, and of course it can be substituted for the full materials for your ritual summon, just like the other old Gishki monsters that also search the ritual monsters and the ritual spells. So it's just an incredible card. And there's also a new Rhoda that's not once per turn, exactly just like Rhoda, Kek W. Anyways, before this video starts, make sure you like and subscribe. Check me out on Twitch and Instagram. Let's try to get this video to 1,000 likes. If I do get that, I will be making a live stream on this deck. And now let's get right into combo number 1. And so combo number 1, my hand has the Grim Gishki, which is the new card tour guide, Salvage, which is incredible in this deck, Rodent Totem, because I do play a very small frog package, because the Gishki monsters just conveniently happen to all be level 2, so Gigantic Splite and Splite Elf, pretty good in this deck. And of course Gishki Vision as well as Abyss. So let's get right into it. I'm going Vision to search for the Ghost Kraken. I think that's how you pronounce it. This is, well, first of all, this has the Monarch stats, which is pretty funny, but this is how you hand loop your opponent. Anyways, normal summon the Abyss, which gets me to search any Gishki card. Well, Gishki monster, but that kind of gets you to a Gishki card because you can search for Shadow, which searches the Aqua Mirror. So now I can go Aqua Mirror, get rid of the Grim Gishki from the hand to summon the Ghost Kraken. Again, even though it's level 2, it can be substituted for the full material. And now on the summon of Ghost Kraken, I can look at 2 random cards in my opponent's hand. Well, up to 2 random cards. This matters if you're trying to go for the full hand loop for 5. And then make my opponent lose one of those cards. It will be shuffled back. So even against like Tearlamance or Dark World or whatever, you're not going to be discarding those cards to give them advantage. So yeah, make my opponent lose 1 random card and then salvage, recycle back the 2 Gishki monsters from the grave. Search another Ghost Kraken and then search for another Aqua Mirror. And now use the Aqua Mirror, get rid of the Ghost Kraken to summon another Ghost Kraken, make my opponent lose another card, and I think you can get where this is going. It's basically going to be a little bit of a loop. So recycle back a Ghost Kraken by shuffling back a ritual spell, and now go for Splite Elf because the synergy is real. Revive back the Grim Gishki, and summon another Abyss from the deck, which searches me another Shadow, which can search another ritual spell. But before that, I will be getting back my Ghost Kraken from the grave to the hand with the graveyard effect of Aqua Mirror, which is now once per turn because, of course, that is fair Yu-Gi-Mons. So yeah, summon Ghost Kraken by getting rid of Ghost Kraken, make my opponent lose another card. And now recycle back another Ghost Kraken. I've seen this before. Go for Gigantic Splite, summon Swap Frog, and now going to be sending Swap Frog. Bounce back the Swap Frog, and now discard the Rodent Totem. Summon Swap Frog. I don't necessarily have to use the effect, but whatever. Revive back the Rodent Totem and then link for Masquerena. Revive back again, and this time make Toad. So this board is actually really good, man. Splite Elf, Toad, Masquerena, Ghost Kraken, and I hand loop my opponent for 3 cards. So this is like the double negate because of Toad. And then Masquerena can summon Appaloosa or Unicorn. Whatever, the world is your oyster. So a bunch of interruptions, and your opponent only really has 3 cards to play with because he's going to be drawing a card. And with Ghost Kraken, you always choose whichever card you shuffle back. So, well, out of the 2 cards that you get to randomly pick, which means that you might probably already know what your opponent's hand is, and you definitely know what to negate with Toad. So if you're going first and you get this kind of setup, you're pretty much always going to win every single one of your games. And that was a completely random hand. So just to show you how consistent, quote-unquote, this deck is, I'm going to show you even more combos with completely randomized hands. So let's get right into the next combo. Alright, combo number 2, just another random hand with me having Vision, Prosperity, Grim, Preparation of Rites, and Abyss. Very good hand, but every hand is good. So yeah, search the Ghost Kraken and then Prosperity for 6 because we're trying to dig for specific cards. Like the Salvage would be very nice because it's a +1, but Preparation of Rites is also a +1, so why not? Anyways, summon the Abyss to search for the Shadow, which gets me the Ritual Spell. And now activate the Ritual Spell, get rid of the Grim to summon the Gust, and then make my opponent lose a card, and I think you can see where this is going. Preparation of Rites to search for a Ghost Kraken as well as recycle back the Ritual Spell. Summon another one, make my opponent lose another card, and then Preparation of Rites again, search another Ghost Kraken and the Ritual Spell, summon another Ghost Kraken, make my opponent lose another card. This is absolutely gorgeous to look at. Recycle back Ghost Kraken for the 10 billion time. Go for Splite Elf, revive back the Grim Gishki, which summons another Abyss, which searches me the Shadow, which gets me the Ritual Spell, which then allows me to summon Ghost Kraken for the 7th billion time, make my opponent lose a grand total of 4 motherfucking cards. This is crazy. Get back another Ghost Kraken from the grave, go for Gigantic Splite, summon Swap Frog, and this is kind of just like rinse and repeat. It's really nothing new every single time. You basically just always do the same thing of trying to summon Gust Kraken as many times as possible. And at the very end, you go for the Gigantic Splite, summon Swap Frog, and then you end on the board of Toad and Elf. And again, when you know what your opponent has and you're hand looping for 4 cards, this is going to be lethal, and your follow-up is insane. Splite Elf can even revive back your Grim Gishki, which then summons back another Abyss, and then searches back another whatever Gishki card. So you can either win with your Splite, kind of not really Splite, but Splite slash swap, well, rather Frog and Toad cards, or actually kill with the Gishki cards. Being able to hand loop your opponent definitely makes your negates even nastier. So that's it for this one. Let's get right into the next one. Alrighty, so this hand is very similar to the last one. I have double Preparation of Rites with Prosperity, Gust Kraken, and Grim Gishki. But I swear to God, all these hands are just like very as average as it gets, because you have so many ways of getting into like the other cards. So it's pretty much the same. Anyways, I'm going to be going for Salvage because I can recycle back like so many cards. This card is just broken, man. Anyways, Gust Shadow to search the Aqua Mirror, summon the Gust Kraken by getting rid of the Grim, make my opponent lose a card, and then you're going to be going for Prep. Search 2 cards. Well, search 1 from deck and then recycle back 1 from grave, so it can be Belled and it can be Ashed. A little bit of a bummer, but whatever, it is what it is. Going for a +1 again, summon Gust Kraken. I think this is actually going to be the hand loop for 5, because I have so many +1s that I can actually afford to do full hand loop as well as the frog combo. So that's actually really nasty. Revive back the Abyss and then search for another Shadow, which searches me the Ritual Spell again. Salvage, recycle back 2 cards. And now summon the Gust Kraken by getting rid of a Shadow, because just like the Grim, it can be substituted for the full material. Gonna get back the Gust Kraken and now search for another Aqua Mirror. Summon Gust Kraken again and make my opponent lose the 5th and final card if I really want to. I really have no... I'm not forced to do that. But when I hand loop for 5 and I can make negates with Toad, I really don't see how any competitive deck really stands a chance against this. Like, this is just absurd. And if you don't want to, if you don't want to make the Elf, then you don't have to. But again, like, your opponent draws into 1 card in hand, and you have a negate for that card. So you can even keep the Gigantic Splite and have a really, really nasty follow-up on the board for next turn. So you're always going to win next turn. Especially since, like, this can revive back something to search, and then you make another Gigantic Splite. Whatever the world is your oyster. So let's get right into the next combo. Alright, so just like I said, all of the monsters in this deck basically are, like, kind of level 2. Which makes this deck very interesting, but this hand doesn't look too great. I've called by the grave Jet if I'm really trying to play some Splite cards, although, we'll be honest, I don't think they're really worth playing in this deck. With the Ivigishki Nere Manas, this is a monster reborn on summon, and it negates like monster effects, so you can get a hand trapped, and then you can negate the hand trap, shuffle it into the deck, and then bounce back your ritual monsters, as well as the Shadow and the Aqua Mirror. So it's not fantastic, but it is what it is. Search for the Photo Mirror, which is kind of neggy, to be honest, because I have to pay 5k and then summon the... revive back the Shadow. I don't necessarily have to do that, because I could have went Aqua Mirror, get rid of the Shadow, summon the Neremeras, and then revive back the Shadow. But whatever, I mean, you have so many options that it really doesn't matter. Revive back the Jet. That's going to allow me to search the Smashers, go for Gigantic Splite, and then summon Swap Frog or Splite Blue. Search for the red and summon the red, or make the Splite, Splite Elf. The order doesn't really matter, but this is still pretty nice considering the fact that my hand was not great. I wasn't able to hand loop, unfortunately. However, I still have a negate with red, a negate with Nerememas, the Smashers, and the Call by the Grave. The one issue is that I don't really have much of a follow-up, so that is one thing that you have to be really aware of. And that might be the reason why I don't necessarily recommend using the Splites as an extenders, because even though they're really nice at making Gigantic and stuff like that, they don't really enable your Gishki combo. Anyways, that's it for this one. Let's get right into the 5th and final combo now. If you were able to stay all the way until this video, all until this point of the video, make sure you like and subscribe. I really appreciate you guys so much. Thank you so much, man. And yeah, let's proceed. So Red Resonator, very nice card in this deck because it's a level 2 tuner, so you can either sync with the Gust Kraken for Omega or with any other level 2 to make Herald of Arclight. And then when Herald goes to the grave, you search for a Ritual Monster spell. So there is like double synergy. You either get to hand loop or search for your extenders for Gishki. So that's actually just really freaking nice. And the rest of my hand is looking very cool as well. I can go Prosperity in advance so I know what to use with my cards. Extra Foolish is also really nice, sending the Herald of Arclight to search for your missing piece. But yeah, the Grim Gishki is probably the best card here because I can summon it off of the red and then summon the Abyss Soldier. So I already have 3 monsters on the field and 4 cards in hand. I went +2 in like 2 seconds. So So yeah, search for the photo mirror and then go salvage, recycle back 2 cards. So I have 5 cards in my hand. This is a +3. Yeah, see, this deck really has a lot of potential. We just need more good support, and this card was definitely a step into a very, very bright direction. So thank you, Konami. Even though I'm not like the biggest Gishki fan because I wasn't really around when that deck was good, I can still, you know, admire the rogue decks. They're always really cool and always appreciated. Anyways, Aqua Mirror, summon the Ghost Kraken, getting rid of the Vision, I think, in my hand. Yes, exactly. Make my opponent lose the first card, and then Splight Elf, recycle back the Ghost Kraken with the Aqua Mirror. And then Photo Mirror for the Nere Nemas, revive back the Abyss, and then search again, because it's now once per turn. That's the beauty about the Gishki cards. Like, they're so old that nothing was once per turn back then. So they didn't really get errata because, you know, they kind of got power crept to death. Anyways, now I'm going to be making the Herald of Arclight, search for the Gishki Abyss again. Well, rather revive it back and then search with it again. Anyways, search for the Ritual Spell, and then summon another Ghost Kraken, make my opponent lose the 3rd card. And this is already a good board on its own because I have like Masquerena. Well, I can link, you can use the Masquerena to go into my Splight combo because I don't really need that Ghost Kraken in the hand, so might as well just try to go for negates, especially considering the fact that this is a negate. But yeah, going to be recycling back Ghost Kraken because I had like 10 billion Aqua Mirrors in the grave, make a Toad, and this is just like insane, man. Double negate, and then negate number 3, and my opponent has 3 cards in hand. So if he goes like activate a monster, I go negate with Neremenas, whatever, you get the point. The spellcaster riding on a freaking killer whale, and then Toad negate twice because I have the setup with Elf. And I really don't see how you lose whatsoever. So yeah, that's pretty much it for this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Let me know your thoughts about this deck in the comment section below. As always, deck profile coming up tomorrow. And I'll see you guys very, very soon. Peace.